Today I'm going to be telling you what Gary Player taught me about putting. So a few weeks ago I was up in St Andrews playing a tournament. Now while I was there I was doing a little bit of filming on the old course and I was hitting some putts and chips out of that famous swale on the 18th. When someone started screaming at me from outside the course, I was a little confused for a second and then I realised it was Gary Player. Definitely a safer option. Now, clearly you can see here my putt finished quite considerably short, and to be honest, I was fairly happy with it because I'd putted up from the middle of the fairway, probably like a good 50 yards away. But after I finished filming this, Gary actually came up to me and gave me a few tips on how to improve your pace control, and I'm going to share one of the most important ones with you today. Now when it comes to putting, people think of it as one skill, but really you can have a huge variety of shots. If we look at this putt here, we've got about 8 foot to the pin, and really when we look at tour statistics, this distance and in is the only one we really have a high statistical chance of holing. From here you're looking at about 50% chance of the putt going in for the best players in the world. So this putt is all about precision. It's about getting a really accurate start line and trying to get this in the hole. But as we move further out, really the emphasis should be on not 3-putting. We're talking a lot more pace control here, and that means your technique needs to change a little bit. Now, this is what Gary was getting at when he was talking to me in St Andrews, and I'll show you this tip that I think is kind of really important for all amateur golfers to consider when you're pace putting. So when we have a short putt like I've got here, we're looking for that precision. So in my setup, I'm looking to really lock in my wrists and my arms and swing with that shoulder movement. So I'm trying to really keep the wrists and hands and everything locked in, and that's going to give me more control of the club face and more control of the start line. Now when it comes to this longer putt here, the chances of me holing this are extremely slim. I mean, getting the start line really isn't the be all and end all. It's much more about getting the pace near to the hole so I can hold that second putt. So if I take that same kind of setup that I had with the short putt, you're going to see how difficult it is to get a long enough stroke to get all the way back to that pin. I mean, I've given that a considerable hit and it's still not reached the hole. And you could have putts, especially at St Andrews, that are much longer than this because you get greens there that are up to 100 yards long. So Gary's tip was this: if you've got a long putt, you actually need to add a little bit of wrist break. If you're too stiff in your setup, it's going to be really hard to get enough ball speed and get a good distance control to the pin. Softening those wrists and giving you a little bit of wrist break is really going to make it a lot easier to get enough ball speed to get back to that pin and make your pace putting more consistent and more controllable. So if you're struggling to get your putts to the hole, try adding a little bit of wrist break when you've got that long distance and see if it helps your game.